Alright. Okay, so I'm going to restring and de-bloodify this Harmony 212813, which is also known as the H804 in earlier years. First things first, close up on the headstock if you want to. We'll bring this over here. This is how I get the strings off really quick. I just do a couple turns until it's just loose enough. And then I just pop it off like that. That comes right off. And then down here you just push it forward and it comes out like that. You can see I'm going to get rid of all this blood on the body. Strings, I usually just put them like that in a straight line, and then it makes it easier to dispose of them. These up here on the cap stands, or these string guides, I just pop them out before I even do anything because it makes them easier to remove. So, do that. That one doesn't have a retainer underneath, so it's going to be a little more difficult to get them out. And then I just loosen all the strings a good bit. The peg winder. Like that. And 10 turns usually does it, sometimes 5. Depends on the string and how much tension it has. Higher ones require more. These are more wraps. And I'll get all these. There we go. And then they just pop right off like that. One by one. This one needs a little more. There we go. Also, the reason why I try to use as few turns as possible is because it saves wear and tear on these tuning pegs, especially on a cheap guitar like this Harmony. If you use the tuning pegs too much, then it tends to cause the gears to wear out, and then they stop. And then they tend to start slipping and it won't stay in tune. And I just take all the strings all at once like this, just wrap them up like that. Makes them easier to dispose of. And I just wrap them through and there you go, there's all your old strings. Alright. Now the next thing, so I'm going to be removing blood. I'm going to go grab a screwdriver, which I left on my desk over there. And we're going to remove the pick guard first. Just all these screws here. I'm also going to pull the bridge off. Pull that bridge support out. I'm going to pull that one out too. And that's where I installed the tune-o-matic on it to keep it in tune real good. These guitars did not come with that bridge. It's one of my own modifications. So I drilled the holes for the retainers. There's the ground wire hole right there. Ground wire now goes into there though. I'm going to undo all these screws. Keep them next to me where I can get at them. And I'm going to take the tail piece off and show you how the strings attach on these guitars, because it's kind of tricky. This also helps if you have a Harmony H802, H801, or H804, which are pretty much the same thing, except the 802 and 801 have either 1 or 2 chrome pickups right here, and the 802 has 2 switches there to turn them on and off, whereas the 804 and 218 series guitars don't have the switches, and they have Stratocaster style pickups like this has. This, of course, this is a guitar I bought from Spence, aka Nilihelm, almost, say about 1.5 years ago. You gather all my parts together in one location. And then the pick guard, as you can see, just pulls right off like that. Where you can see where I've done electrical shielding to the total bottom. This is all muffler tape I bought from Walmart for like a $5 roll of it. It does like 1 million guitars, and I just built a little tub, and I also did the back of the pick guard, and there you can see the back of the pickups. Back here are the pots, or short for potentiometer. This is the volume, this is the tone control, that's the capacitor on the tone control that makes it a tone control rather than a volume control, and that's the output jack with just 1 positive, 1 negative lead wire on it. And I lined the whole back of this pick guard with the shielding stuff to create what we call a Faraday cage, which is essentially a cage that keeps electrical resistance from, keeps stray electric frequencies from causing noise and problems. Right there you can see the ground wire sticking through. If you have, just a hint of, if you have a cheap guitar like this and it buzzes even if you have your hands on the strings, especially with high gain, it's probably because this wire here is disconnected. It's essentially completes the circuit and uses you as a ground. And then I'm going to take the tailpiece off. This guitar also has a modified tailpiece. The 218 series guitars have a smaller stamped metal tailpiece. This is a cast metal job like the earlier ones had. I put this on here because it gives a little more mass and gives the guitar a little more sustain. It improves the tone quite a bit as well. I'm pulling it off because it makes it easier to clean all the blood off. So you get to see. So I just got 4 screws to remove, but these are a little rougher to remove. And then I'll pull the ground wire out while I'm at it. And I'm going to undo all these. And then this tailpiece lifts right out, and then I'll show you how these restring. Underneath here, as you can see, there's little fingers, and the ball end of each string fits in between those fingers, and that's what holds it in place. It's also what makes these so tricky to restring, because you'll stick it down there and sometimes it'll get caught over there, or it'll get caught one over. Best way either do is one string at a time, or just make sure that looks even before you tighten the strings up and tune it. And these are common tailpieces on these old 60s designs. These were actually designed by a company called Tone back in the 60s, and Harmony, and everybody's been making them ever since. I'm also going to remove the neck. This is pretty easy, just 4 screws, straightforward. As you can see. Played a gig with this guitar with all the blood on it, and now it's time to de-bloodify it and clean it up, so that's why I'm doing all this disassembly. Neck screws are very, very tight. They can be difficult to remove. Whatever you do if the screw starts to get hot when you're removing it, especially using a power drill, don't keep on turning it because it might get too hot, and then the cast pot metal these screws are made out of, they'll break, and then you'll break the screw head off and you'll have the screw stuck in there. I've had a few of those. Some of these guitars have a little plastic piece under the neck plate called the body scratch guard. It's supposed to, I don't know why they started using these. These are really kind of funny to me, and they're kind of the sign of a cheap guitar because you'll usually see them on a guitar. My only thought is maybe it's to prevent the line. There's a little line here, you can see where the neck plate was. It's to prevent that from happening to the body, but they don't really seem to fix any of that. And then the neck just pulls right out. You can see what I used for shims, an old laptop computer key, a cut up piece of guitar pick, and a washer. You can use anything for neck shims. And last but not least is the strap button, which just unscrews, and this allows the whole body to be cleaned off neatly. I expect there's probably some paint that's even going to come off, but I don't really mind because guitar is kind of... First thing I use is Scotch-Brite pad, some of this dollar store awesome cleaner with bleach stuff just to get it off, and you can see it's already starting to come off. I'm having the Scotch-Brite pad just in case there's anything that's tough to remove, but as you can see it's coming right off the body. Just that bleach cleaner, just coming straight off the body, nice and neat. And then it just, okay, so time view, is it going? I can edit it out.
Yeah, go for it.
Alright, so now we got all the blood off the body, back, sides, front. A little bit, got a little bit in the crevices. I'm not worried about that. But there's a little bit of staining here. So I'm gonna use this stuff, 3M Finish Restore. I use this on cheap guitars all the time. I get them in. They have like either, you know, some sort of finish damage. This stuff will remove it. I only just need about that much to get it off, and then I just keep rubbing on it. It also works over the entire body, which I might do this time. It'll remove most of it. It won't always remove all of it if it's like a UV stain, which this might be too. I'm just trying it to see if it'll work on this particular UV area. But as you can see, after running it over the body a bunch, it does make the body very shiny. And it also tends to take dark particles off of aluminum. So when we do this, we want to be careful around that aluminum shielding not to get any on it, or otherwise then we got to rub a little more to get it off. As you can see right there, just in that one little section I did, it's very glossy and high gloss. This is stuff they use on automobiles to make them shine like new. So that's why I use this stuff on all my guitars. When I got damage, paint damage, or you know, something on the body that I want to get off. It also works in getting rid of sticker goo, because it's basically just little silicone particles and clay, and the little particles act like really fine grade sandpaper, and they smooth out the finish.